And that's kind of what got me into dubstep. That was like the genre from London.
Yeah.
And now you can't find any dubstep there at all. We were like one of the first guys doing dubstep in the UK. Even when we first started MODESTEP, like we had a bad reputation for always partying too hard.
This story has never been told, ever. I didn't tweet this, I didn't say shit. This was heartbreaking stuff. I think ours is the most real.
Yeah.
It's the most like open to error. It's the most, you need your wits on the day, really. You need to put on a live show. And if we fuck up, then it sounds like ass. Funkcase was like bad boy drummer, like, and I was like, I met a few other people, like Borgor, Asaf, he's bad boy drummer.
Of Sidewalk Talk. Today I'm here with Joshua of MODESTEP.
What's going on?
It's originally from the UK.
I am indeed.
Where in the UK?
Originally London, yeah, like never moved, always London.
Oh really?
Like 30 years of my life.
Like in the city of London? I feel like most people are like kind of in the suburbs and...
No, I'm like right in the centre.
Are your parents originally from London as well?
Yeah, they actually are. Just born and raised, like all my family. Always kind of dreamt about growing up there and having my own house in London. And it kind of changed in the last 10 years. It went from being like this grimy place full of nightlife to this kind of strange tourist place where everything's really expensive and there's no culture or nightclubs anymore. And that's kind of what got me into dubstep. That was like the genre from London.
Yeah.
And now you can't find any dubstep there at all. It's all gone.
What do your parents do?
My dad, I think he's a lawyer. I haven't spoken to him for a little while. And my mum, she started her own company like a few years ago. It's so boring. They like sell gas and electricity. But they've been working their butts off getting that sorted for like the last 10 years. And doing really well now. So.
What do you think of your creative side from then?
I think actually my parents, they're like, my dad can kind of sing, his brothers play instruments. My mum's brother was also a producer.
Oh wow.
And used to build recording studios. And when I was like 10 years old, he was the first guy that took me to a recording studio, and I recorded my first tune when I was like 10. I think that's what kind of started my obsession for like making music and stuff.
What were your parents playing in the house?
Oh, Stevie Wonder, just like loads of Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, yeah, like loads of Motown. I have like weird memories of like Stevie Wonder songs, and I had like, when I was like 18 years old, I started getting into Stevie Wonder, and I didn't know why I knew all of his songs. It's like they were all in the back of my head, I just knew them without even like...
It's like me with ABBA.
Right, there you go, so you're brought up with this thing, and then suddenly... Yeah, like I got into it, probably because in the back of my mind it was really familiar, and yeah, I just had like I knew all of it. It was really strange, but yeah, my first ever concert was Michael Jackson. That was
wow!
Yeah, so that was my upbringing in music, was like a lot of soul and Motown.
And at what age were you when you first started picking up an instrument?
10. Yeah, so I started playing. It was when Princess Diana died.
Yeah.
I picked up a keyboard at like a charity shop, and I came home, and when Princess Diana died, Elton John sang this song, Candle in the Wind, which he rewrote for Diana, and I remember watching it on TV and being like, oh, I really want to learn that. I want to learn how to play that. I was like 10 years old. Yeah. Yeah, I picked up this keyboard from a charity shop and like came home, and by the end of the day, my mum comes in, she's like, when did you learn to play piano? I was like, today, listen to what I can play. She's like, the fuck? Like, I didn't get you lessons. How did that even happen? Yeah. I was like, oh, well, it's easy. So. And then, yeah, from then on, I learned like guitar, bass, drums.
All just teaching yourself?
Yeah, just teaching myself. I tried to get lessons, but and it didn't really get on very well with the teachers. I had one person sit me down for piano lessons, and they were like, right, so today we're going to learn this piece, and I think they played it to me. And I was like, oh, cool, yeah, no problem. Like, just played it straight back to them, and they're like, oh, wow, so... okay, that was good, but you used all of the wrong fingers to play the song. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to be able to like sit and work out where my fingers are supposed to go. If I'm playing it right, I'm playing it right. And they're like, no, you have to relearn from the start. I was like, nah. Not happening.
Were you ever in orchestras?
Nope. No, I wasn't. That's not really like so much a thing in the UK.
Okay.
I know that's like a big thing out here, like drummers start a marching band and all that kind of thing. But no, in the UK, it's not really like as much support as there is over here, like in education for music. It was like something you really had to do by yourself, otherwise. I remember teaching like my teachers things and like showing them how to do stuff. So like they weren't really particularly like trained or anything, but they were very nice.
And how did your first band form?
I was actually quite late on. Like I started this horrendous rap rock thing, and I was the drummer. And that was like, that wasn't that long ago. That was like, I would have been 22 or something. It was terrible. It was really, really bad. And then I like been in some other bands since then. I've like played keys in a band, backing vocals. I was never the front man. I was always like producing or making music in the background somehow.
Because you didn't like to sing?
That's what I've always loved to do, but I don't know. I guess I wasn't like ready for like being at the front or being... Yeah, I was quite a shy person. I still am a bit shy. And when we first had to do our first shows as MODESTEP, I was like so terrified, so scared.
Yeah.
Our first ever show was headlining a festival. I think Skrillex was on.
Oh my gosh.
On the lineup, Dead Mouse.
Yeah.
And we had to. Yeah, we had to go out. I think it was 60,000 people, and I just remember like pacing backstage, just like I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be sick. That's it. Like, this is it. This is our career over before it's even started. And yeah, I was just like really nervous. But then after that show, it seemed to just like break it, and I could no longer be nervous anymore. And then like, I guess also I knew that we had so many shows lined up that like, yeah, that nerves thing had to be finished real quick.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, we wouldn't do too many shows.
So did you realize like early on that music would be your career?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know why. I just think that like, out of everything I did as a kid, that was the thing that touched me the most. Like, I could play songs and I'd cry and I'd be like, oh right, this is like getting emotion from me, whereas like most other things wouldn't. So I just always knew that, like Michael Jackson, I was there, I think I was 6 years old, went to go and see Michael Jackson. I'm just like overwhelmed with emotion seeing something like that. And I guess I just wanted to be swapping places and doing that for other people.
And were your parents supportive from the onset?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. My mum definitely, for sure. She's always been like 110%. She calls herself Mummy MODESTEP. She made herself like all this fan merch with like blingy Mummy MODESTEP, shows up to my shows at the side of stage.
Yeah.
She's super supportive, yeah, so like I couldn't ask for anything more with that, I guess.
And when you guys formed, it was originally 4 people, right?
Actually, no. So when we formed, it was just me and my brother. And we made like a couple of songs, not really thinking anything of it. It was just kind of a bit of fun. We'd heard dubstep. Like
This was like after high school, or when was this?
This would have been 2008 or 9.
Yeah.
Around then when we made the first songs. I just came out of university.
Oh, what did you study?
Music, but wasn't
Like, what to ask?
wasn't much of a study, though. It was kind of a party for 3 years, which is cool. Like, I got to meet loads of cool musicians. It was me and my brother, and there was another guy who, like, only original MODESTEP fans will remember, called Oz. And he was kind of like, what did Oz do? He did like the visuals. So there was like me, my brother, and then a visuals guy. And then a guy who I went to university with called Matt was the original drummer. I was like, do you fancy doing drums? He was like, yeah, sure. And then we soon realized that like, we were getting booked for loads of rock festivals, so...
How did you get your music out there initially?
Oh, initially, we got really lucky, like super, super lucky. We were like one of the first guys doing dubstep in the UK and like really pushing it. The first song that I made was called Exile, and I put it up on UKF, because at the time UKF wasn't really like much of a thing. And yeah, I think I just emailed him. I was like, hey, here you go, this is a song we just made. And overnight it got like 1 million hits.
Oh wow.
And we used a sample from Enya, and she like battled straight away and had it taken down. So like, yeah, we knew that we were onto something. We were like, right, that was 1 million hits overnight. We better like have a follow-up song. And then the next songs that we made got picked up by the radio in the UK. And like next thing I know, I'm handing in my notice at work. And
Where were you working?
At the Apple store. Yeah, I got a job for like 6 months after university because I wanted to start a management company.
Oh, what type of management?
So we were managing all sorts of things actually. We had like an acoustic guitar guy who has since gone on to like support Ed Sheeran and do really well.
Wow.
Ryan Keane, go check him out, super talented. And we were like putting together our own girl band and stuff. Like we were doing loads of weird stuff. And we had a recording studio. So yeah, like 3 days of the week I was working at the Apple store, just basically earning money and biding time. And then the rest of the week I'll be like in studios, working on MODESTEP and yeah, trying to get my artists off the ground. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, within 6 months.
And then you're just touring.
That's it, yeah.
That's
It was
so fast.
It was so quick. Within 6 months, we were already booked. I think we came and did a year of touring Europe, pretty much every single day. And then we did a tour of America in 2012 that was like 56 dates sold out on a tour bus. And that was like almost 10 years ago, so.
How did your music get to the US?
That's a good question. I guess it would just be the internet. I kind of feel like dubstep was like the first thing that really was like
it
an
on
internet
like
genre.
SoundCloud or MySpace, or when was?
MySpace was still about, but I think it was just becoming kind of irrelevant at that point.
Yeah.
It was all YouTube, so we kind of owed it to like UKF YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And a few other YouTube channels that were just kind of, they were posting like every week different songs. And I think we just hit on like a nice balance between the underground side and like, because I was singing on the tunes, that there was like something to remember. Mm-hmm. So radio were like, let's get this on the radio.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was kind of our foot in the door straight away.
And you were talking about the team members?
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so then we had Matt, who was like a guy I went to university with, partied with all the time. He was quite a good drummer, so I was like, hey, do you fancy playing drums for us? So then he joined, and then we soon realized like we need someone to play guitar because we really wanted a live band. Like that was really quite key to what we were doing. Mm-hmm. So we held auditions, and I think we had auditions about a week before playing our first headline festival performance in the UK at a big rock festival. So that was his first show. And I think we had that lineup for a good like 3 or 4 years before anyone left. And then 4 or 5 years goes by, both the drummer and guitarist left, so we needed to find some replacements. And Pat was, he was on the same management company. He played drums for like a bunch of well-known rock bands like Funeral for a Friend and some other bands in the UK. He was like, cool, I'll come play drums for you guys for a little while. Yeah, then he came and did a few shows with us, and I think it was actually in Japan where I was like, dude, you've got to leave your band and come. Like, you've got to do this, come on, you're like part of the gang already, you've only done a few shows. And yeah, he was like, yeah, cool, fine. So he left, and then about a year and a half ago, my brother decided he was done, like 10 years of doing MODESTEP was enough for him, and just left it to me and Pat to continue. So now we kind of switched it all into a two-piece instead of 4 of us.
Yeah.
And,
what does your brother do?
My brother was the DJ.
Oh, I mean now.
Oh, now.
Like, what did he quit it for?
Well, he's got like a family and baby, so I think, and also it was quite stressful. Like touring 300 days a year is like, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress. Not everyone can handle it, and not everyone's really built for it. I feel like he had probably reached his shelf life with just like that touring life thing.
Is he completely out of it, or does he still help a bit with music or anything?
He's out of MODESTEP completely, yeah. He just left that to us, but I think he still does like, works for some other acts, like tour managing and like building stages and stuff like that whenever you can.
And then during that early time, was it really common to be live performing dubstep in the UK, or?
No, not at all. We were the only ones. I think like Chasing Status, but that was more drum and bass. But yeah, as far as like dubstep, there was us and another group called Tech One, who was just like a drummer and a DJ. And other than that, that was pretty much it. Even to this day, I don't think there's that many people doing it.
Because like I think in previous interviews you said some people are not sure how it would go over in the crowd because it's not something they're expecting, like the early days of it.
Yeah, it was a weird thing, especially like you would go to like electronic music festivals, and you would have to somehow fit what we do into like a DJ stage. So like they would already have like a DJ table built that couldn't be removed. So a lot of the time we'd be putting instruments in different parts of the stages and just trying to make it work for like what we do. And yeah, it's been a big learning curve, but it's cool because it means that we can go and do like rock festivals and also do electronic music festivals, and we kind of like receive the same way now.
Yeah. Is your whole live setup different for the two?
No, we try and keep it the same.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we don't want to like play to the rock audience or play to the electronic audience, because we feel like we're down the center enough that they'll both appreciate whatever we do.
What was the turning point that you realized you wanted to refine the electronic music aspect, or get more into that world?
It was never really like a turning point, to be honest. I've always felt like that I wasn't as good as like the people that I looked up to production wise. I've always hear like a noisier tune or like a culprit tune or some of the like newer rhythm guys, and just be like, how is this even happening? Like, how are they doing this? So it's just like a part in my brain that I guess like competitive but also creative. I just always want to know how things are done and how things are made. So if I hear something and I don't know how it's made, that'll be me for like the rest of the week, sat with a laptop trying to work it out.
Yeah. How do you see everyone as a person compared to when you were younger?
Oh, I used to be a bad kid. I used to be like, even when we first started MODESTEP, like we had a bad reputation for always partying too hard, and I feel like when we first started this, I didn't really know much about the music industry or what I was doing or anything. I just kind of went with it. It all happened so quickly. But now I'm like, I feel like I've aged to the point where I kind of learned from all my mistakes. And now I'm doing this properly. Like, I've got a really good team behind me, and just for the first time ever, I feel like I'm not a kid doing this, I'm like an adult doing it.
Doing the duo for like 10 years, do you ever feel like you have to cater to certain trends, or how do you like stay true and stuff?
Yeah.
Especially in dance music, I feel like so many artists are just falling into that like trend base,
For
and if
sure.
they don't, they're like falling off too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a weird balancing act. I feel like changing all your music for trends is bad, but being able to fit those trends within the music you already make is what's really important. So we've, over the last few years, realized that, you know, like rhythm is more popular now, but like rhythm comes from what we came from, which is like the earlier sides of dubstep, so it wasn't too difficult to kind of find where that would fit in our music and just push it in there. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people who will just make tunes for the sake of being popular that week, and it does work. It will get them touring for like a year or 2 years, but if you want to be an act that tours for 10 years, probably it's not gonna work so well.
How would you say your music has changed compared to the early songs you made?
Oh wow, like totally different, I guess. Now, well, when we first started MODESTEP, like the first songs that I made were the first ever electronic music tunes that I had ever made in my life, because up until that point I was making like hip hop, pop, rock.
Wow.
Yeah, like typical like music that a band person would make. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, I'm like considered an electronic music producer, but I really wasn't. I had no idea what I was doing. So I basically spent the last 10 years trying to catch up to what everyone else has been doing. And I feel like the last 2 or 3 years, we've really like found our own sound and found our own kind of home, especially with Disciple. The tunes in the early days were quite obviously someone who knew how to make music, but not necessarily electronic music. And I feel like the music now, it's proper electronic music and also proper other music. But yeah, the electronic side's definitely more refined and well done. I think we've got the respect of like other producers now more so than ever before.
What does love mean to you?
What does love mean to me?
Yeah.
Love is an indescribable connection between two people. It's pretty much to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the indescribable part makes it harder to go, like talk about any further. But yeah, it's like a feeling that you have with two people that it doesn't even have to be two people. I guess it can be two things. Connection between two things.
Yeah. Last question. What do you want MODESTEP to be remembered for?
What do I want MODESTEP to be remembered for? Our live show. I want people to yeah, come and see us live and just realize that there's something different when you come and see us play to any other DJ or even any other live act, you know. We've been doing this for so long. This has been like, it's almost 10 years, coming up to 10 years next year of doing our live show. And I just feel like there's something that we, like some chemistry that we have come up with over the last 10 years that, I don't know, I don't think anyone else can really compete with. So that's how I would like to be remembered, is like performers, more than anything else, just like really good performers.
Yeah, I love this. It's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren. Nice one.
Bye. Hi, now I'm with Pat.
Hi, I'm the other half.
So we're in the UK, exactly. Where are you from?
London, England.
Oh, like in the city?
I was born in West London in a place called Ealing. I spent 14 years there, and then I just sort of moved around because of touring and like losing jobs and getting new jobs. I just kind of always just found myself in a new place every time I came home from like a long like run of shows or something.
What do your parents do? Are they doing creative stuff as well?
They died when I was really young, but they were both like somewhat like musical. My mum did dancing and like a little bit of singing. She wasn't very good, bless her. But my dad was like a singer-songwriter, kind of had his had like multiple originals like groups throughout the years and stuff. So his main thing was like writing songs. And yeah.
What kind of music was played when you were growing up?
Like just rock music. I think my mum kind of like got down with like chill stuff, and like I heard like Enya. My mum used to play Enya, and that might like be nails on chalk for people, but I grew up kind of like having a soft spot for Enya. And
I love Enya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've probably heard Sail Away like 500 times.
Oh my God,
for
yeah.
my 10th birthday. But no, my dad was like more into like, you know, ZZ Top and like Maiden and Priest, and like got me into like, I guess like, you know, not just heavy music, but like, you know, like Eric Clapton as well and things like that, because he was a guitarist. He listened to a whole heap of like guitar writers and stuff, which was dope. Yep.
And then at what age did you pick up your first instrument?
Oh wow. Well, I think for Christmas, age 3, I got like this, like I don't know what they call it in America, but back home it's called Fisher Price. It's basically like entry-level toys for kids. They're like what you'd give to a kid if they wanted a drum to play with, but like not for reals. So it was like made of like plastic, and it had like a plastic cymbal with a little screw.
Yeah.
So when you hit it, it would kind of vibrate a little bit and sound a little bit cymbally. But no, I didn't get like a real kit like until I was. Let me think about this. My parents got me. I was 8. I was 8 when I got a full-size like adult kit. But yeah, I guess I started playing like around that, somewhere between 3 and 8. I started taking it kind of serious, and like taking some of the basics kind of like a little bit serious, and then I started gigging when I was 14.
Oh wow! And did you realize that you were gonna do music for your whole life?
I wanted to, but everyone said that it wasn't feasible. But I had a parent that made it kind of work. I just wanted to one-up him, you know.
Yeah.
I saw my dad do so much, and I was like, all right, cool. I guess if you do get really, really good really young. I was always concerned with how good my dad was when he was my age. So when I was, let's say I was, you know, 11 talking to my father, I'd be like, you know, like, what could you play at this age, you know? Like, I wanted to know if I was beating him. And that sounds really silly, but like, when you're a kid and you see your old man as like your inspiration and like a bit of a hero, you kind of just want to one-up it and stay ahead of the game. And then by the time I was like starting to earn a little bit of money from shows, I say gigs at that point, because they were just in bars and stuff. Yeah, I got really tired of school. School started really sucking because, you know, I was able to earn doing what I loved. So like the comparison was there real early for me. It was like take academia seriously, and like, you know, because my sister went on to Oxford and she's a doctor, and like, you know, there's quite a few doctors in my family, and I'm not saying I could have been that. I'm stupid compared to her and my cousins and my brother even. But yeah, no, I just kind of wanted to make shows work. That's all I cared about. So yeah, took a big risk, I suppose.
And did you like finish high school or go to college or?
Oh no, I got kicked out of
high school.
Yeah.
And then you're just doing music full time?
Pretty much. I did enroll in college, but I met actually a teacher at that college when I was like, I guess 16, and we actually started a band. Or no, rather, I joined his band, and they were like signed and stuff. So it kind of seemed like a cool way to like, you know, go into music. I was like, all right, this guy's already like taught me a whole bunch about like music theory and like, you know, I can develop as a player and as a like a musical theory head with this guy. So we you know, me and my buddy, we stuck with him for a bit, and yeah, I think it was when I was 17, going on 18. That was where it became a oh shit, like we can do this, let's do this, because we started getting real gigs. I joined a band called Rice Trim. Well, I started a band called Rice Trim with my friends. And yeah, we were getting like Download Festival, and like we were touring with like Trivium and Chimera and like, you know, Whitechapel, bands that I'd literally grown up listening to.
Wow.
Like going to see live, you know, standing in the queues and like loving these acts. Then I was like a kid, and all of a sudden I was a little bit of an older kid, and I was touring with those dudes, like hanging out with them, smoking with them. So yeah, I kind of didn't really consider a serious career, or for lack of a better term, like a more, you know, real job, because yeah, like music was there kind of early. I just stuck with it, I guess. Tried to be as good as I could be.
Then how did you get to be a part of the bigger bands, like Josh was saying?
So Rise went, like, we toured for like maybe 4 years, and it was real complicated, but they booted out my, they had a meeting right before we were about to fly to the United States and tour with, I don't know if you know any of these bands, but it was Machine Head, Suicide Silence, and Darkest Hour. And this was maybe like 2011, this is going back. So I would have been about 21, I think. And they decided right before we, like the first show was in Denver, like on like the 23rd or something. And this was like literally the 21st of the month. This was right before we like went to the airport. And they like kicked out my best mate out of the band.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, it was real like brutal. We were sat there in a Starbucks in central London. We signed to EMI. And this story has never been told ever. I didn't tweet this, I didn't say shit. This was heartbreaking stuff. So they kicked out my best buddy, who like, we wrote this album together as 5 people, you know. Me and Joe like genuinely kicked this live act into the next like league, you know. We were no longer like a kiddie act. We were like serious. We were selling tickets. And I feel like we did it as 5 people, and they booted out one of the members as like 3 people. I didn't even know about it. So I left the band like later that day. Like I drafted an email and just like walked. So I went back to work actually for like 2-3 months. And after, I got real sick of working, and it was kind of great timing because my phone rang, and like it was some friends of mine from Wales, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to audition for our band?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool." I didn't really think anything of it. I didn't think I'd get the gig. I just thought, "Lol, you know, okay, I'll audition." So I kind of hopped out of bed and learned a whole bunch of their like albums, and went down to Wales and auditioned for Funeral for Friends. Yeah. And then got that gig, and then that's kind of how that started.
And how long were you with them?
Like 4 years.
Wow.
Right until like they're not going anymore. They ended it like a couple of years back. But I did the last bunch of records with them. So it was great to like record and write albums with like a band I definitely like. Listening to,
what was it like just being drummer for the other bands? So like a lot of the producing and songwriting.
Yeah, like mega different. Like my whole life I've sort of had to relearn how to not just adapt around different like people or be around different people, but learn how to like play my instrument in a way that is kind of like a new kind of style almost. Every like the last few years been so one band and another band, and then joining MODESTEP from Funeral was the biggest transition ever, because it was like, okay, there's not like the traditional kind of 4 or 5 guys in a room writing songs with their instruments and like bouncing off of each other. It's more like, you know, you talk about where a song goes, you talk about a vibe, and we sort of used to sit down and watch Josh do his magic and like throw pointers in, and like, you know, like, oh, that could go on for a bit longer. But Josh has always been like the wizard, man. He's always been the guy that just sort of sits there and, you know, like he will leave you on red for 5 days. You know, but that's completely fine, because he'll send this Dropbox link at the end of it. He's like, yeah, I made some tweaks, man. So it's a totally new way of working, and the live show is a totally new way of working as well. Just being on like triggers and having our live show work the way it does, and like it's super unique with the way that like we put drums over the songs. Like a lot of people haven't really, like in the EDM circuit that I've seen, a lot of people have different live acts and different ways of like exploring the live medium. I think ours is the most real.
Yeah.
It's the most like open to error. It's the most you need your wits on the day, really. You need to put on a live show, and if we fuck up, then it sounds like ass. And I can't even say that any other way. I tried to think of a way I could make that sound like less crude. But if it's like, it's as simple as this. There's no like backing track for like the drums, for the vocals. Like if we miss something, if Josh sings the wrong lyric or like cues the wrong thing, I'm playing a different song. Like I'm going into that song that's in my ears, and that's just like boom, catastrophe. So we need to be like so locked in for 60 minutes, 75 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever the set length is. It's like focus.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, yeah, that was different because more time with rock bands and metal bands and stuff, it's just like you sit on a click, a metronome and your pad, or like you warm up for a little bit and you go on and do the same show you did the night before. MODESTEP's not like that. It's like every show, it's kind of the same, but the vibe will be vastly different from show to show to show. There'll always be something new that one of us does or says, and it just changes the whole thing really. So I kind of like that. We can walk out. There's two of us now, so we can walk out and it's just us. We bounce off of each other, and it's usually like a really fucking sick vibe,
Yeah.
But it is real, like the fact of like, if I miss a pad or if my pad mistriggers, everyone stops dancing.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a seriously like sobering thing. You'll be playing to 10,000 people, more. And it's a great haze to see like, them bouncing at 150 and then all of a sudden they stop because your stick breaks in half. And you're like, oh shit, fuck. And like you miss 3 more snares after that. And people are kind of like, what the crowds are like.
Yeah.
They're like, alrighty, cool, they fucked it. And it's like, it's harsh and you've got to bring it back and reel it in. And yeah, it's a fun live show. It's definitely rewarding when you get a good one.
How much of the electronic music scene did you know before you joined it?
I would say more than the average guy. Like, believe it or not, the whole metal and dubstep world, as far as I was concerned, was pretty kind of one and the same. Like, obviously you had like Skrillex, and when he was in From First to Last, like that whole kind of transition from like rock to dubstep was, the first big one. But I think a lot of people, especially that I've met along the years, like James Funkcase, for example, like I remember the very first day I met him, he was like, do you know how to play Entombment of a Machine by Job for a Cowboy on the drums? And I was like, yeah, probably, man, like, I think, probably, it'd be a while, maybe I'll warm up, but yeah, we'll get there. And he's like, yeah, that's my favorite song to play, and Knee Deep as well. Kid sat down and started playing Knee Deep straight away. Funkcase was like bad boy drummer, like, and I was like, I met a few other people, like Borgor, Asaf, he's bad boy drummer, Josh Flux, bad boy drummer, like you got all these people that were like into metal, know, and then I think back in the day, Schism dropped Expert, and I was one of the only people in my little friend circle of like bass heads that knew what the speech was, what was from, when he's like, what the fucking experts are trying to tell you, all that stuff, like that's from a Pantera gig at Red Square, that's from before he goes into what's the song, fucking Hostile, I think. So just before they count that number off, he does this big ass speech about fuck the experts, and like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just think I've always seen metal, and like, especially like, before rhythm kind of popped over here, like there was a lot more like direct comparison, there's a lot more guitar in dubstep. So yeah, there's always been like that. I just see it as like you replace the electronic guitars with wavetables.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, drums have always been like razor sharp and precise and super heavy in metal, and they are in dubstep, so I mean, you know what I mean? I see a lot of like comparisons, like if there was a Venn diagram with dubstep or like rhythm and then like metal, I think like so many of them would be right in the middle.
Yeah.
That little vagina shaped chasm.
And then how did you first meet Disciple?
How did I first meet Sidewalk? Well, it was on Skype actually. I knew about Dodger Fusky's music and stuff, but I'd never met Rob. Never met anybody that I hadn't like kind of done shows with over on Europe before we moved out here. So I think it was, Rob and me and Josh and Rossi, who's Myro, our manager. We had like a 4-way window on Skype. I'd never done one before. It was really nerve-wracking. I was sat there just like, don't know what to say, trying to make a joke, but like they might take it wrong. Because like one of them I'd never met, and one of them I'd met like once before. So we spoke about maybe like the possibility of coming out here and doing some stuff, and like it all rolled from there, basically. Like, kind of got here and we realised there was a bunch of like UK kids putting in the work, so it was a really nice kind of vibe, you know.
And then how did it click to you that you wanted to be with them, like after that?
I'll be honest, Myro, so Rossi, he manages like our like act. He manages a whole bunch of acts like Barely Live and Virtual. But he's half of the label as well, or a third even I should say, and he does like sort of 2 jobs. So kind of he introduced us to the label side of things, and then like when we worked with him as like, you know, as manager, or him as our manager, that was kind of when we were like, yeah, we're in good hands, man. Like, we've been through a lot of tricky situations, a lot of sticky ones, and you know, when you're our age, Josh is 31, I'm 28, we're not like kids, you know, so when you've been like in a few management situations or a few label situations or anything like that, and they haven't gone the way you initially planned, meeting someone like Rossi seems a bit too good to be true, you know, and like the whole Disciple crew, all these videos, you were like, right, they all look like real posy and everyone's real happy, but is it like that? And that was kind of our initial like concern, or at least it was mine. And yeah, no, it really is, like there is a great vibe, and being a small label in a small kind of genre, it's like it's easy to maintain that really good vibe.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, really. It's just a really good family vibe, and everyone looks out for everyone. There's no bitchiness. Like, everyone's supporting everyone's music. Someone has a release and it's bumped on everyone's pages, and that's great.
Yeah.
And it's not a guy in the office doing it. It's us, you know. I think that is something that'll always kind of make people like me and Josh, you know, want to like gravitate towards that. It's just like, sweet, man. Actual real people being really nice to each other, and it's refreshing. It's like you want to make music and send it to someone who you flip and respect, and have them get right back to you, and like, you know, send their shit, and like, you know, it's just really nice. Nothing's contrived or fake. It's real. It's like, it's rare. It's a unique thing that they've got, and they've worked like 5 years to get that. So, yeah, big up Disciple crew.
Does it feel a bit different because you've been in like bands and doing drums for your whole life, and now maybe you categorize under more of like a EDM producer? Or
no, not particularly. So like, again, I wouldn't champion my production skills. I suck. I'm pretty deaf. You know, I've done like thousands of shows in my life. I think I did a hearing test recently, and I struggled to hear over 10.5K. So
oh my gosh.
I'm sure I'm heading for a hearing aid before I'm like 35. So I wouldn't like jump in the producer seat and want to make a banger straight away. But like in terms of like songwriting, I still enjoy like putting together a piece of work. That being said, Josh has worked on everything in the last 2 EPs. The one that we just dropped, Echoes, and this new one. He's basically just been whipping them up fucking quick. Like, I think he did this last one in 1 week. But like, the bulk of the work, like, you know, in one day, I'm pretty sure he sent me over 2 almost finished songs kind of from that EP that are both on the EP. So he's kind of on fire at the moment. As far as like my contribution, like, so I've got a sample pack coming out with Virtual Riot for like just drums, like exclusively like rhythm and dubstep drums. It's got a cool name, and I'm going to put it all on like line very soon. So I'm not sure when this is going to go out, but if it's sometime soon, it'll probably be dropping at the same sort of time. So in the next month anyway. So that'll be all available for everyone to sort of grab off the internet when it's all dropped. There'll be a link to everything, and hopefully everyone starts using my shit in their songs, because that's kind of what I like. You know, I think drums are such a massive part of dubstep, or any EDM genre for that matter, or any genre of music. So like, if I can make as many 6 sample packs as I can make for different like things, like a future bass one with future bass fills, and, you know, drum and bass ones with drum and bass breaks, and just keep doing that. That's kind of my contribution. That's where I want to aim to be in the next few years, is just like keeping Josh laced with like drum samples and stuff that he can use in the music he makes. Because it kind of makes everyone's life easier when there's real good stuff, just drag and drop, you know. That's kind of the new way of making tunes. I think if you're sat there like programming all day long, it kind of gets super boring when you're trying to put down an idea. So that's my thing. I want to get like new and creative drum loops in the mix and make dubstep a bit more dynamic and fun and live and real. That's my aim. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Day to day, if he's doing more of the producing, do you do more of the live performance, like getting into that, or day to day, how do your roles differ?
So we we do shows together.
Yeah.
We prepare for shows together. So that side of it's kind of normal. It's more just like Josh will have allotted times in the diary when we're not touring. There's no shows, and it might be like 2 weeks, or even like 5 days in between shows, and it'll just be like booked out with like EP production. So he'll know exactly how long he has, and the deadline will be in that month at some point, and he'll just have maybe like 2 block book weeks to work on it. And that's kind of how that works. Now, normally we used to write as, when we were 4 people, there'd be 4 people in a room. But like I said, Josh is, since he's been like in LA, since we moved over here, I think just hanging around with a whole bunch of people on Disciple, it's like they almost treat music production like a game. It's like, like, let me see your new IDs, like, and people go home and whip up 2 or 3 new ones. It's just like the speed at which people are making like really sick playable music has just gone tenfold in the last few years. So now that Josh is kind of like on that, it's like, if you blink, you might miss a tune. I know he made a drum and bass one last night. I saw him tweet about it. So, but that's the nature of it. When inspiration is kind of striking, you got to go with it.
What does success mean to MODESTEP?
Ooh, that's a very difficult question. To be honest, I'm fairly certain we can consider ourselves successful. The amount of stuff we've come through, and we're still an act. It's been almost 10 years for Josh, and 6 for me. So. I'd say what is success? Will you ever know if you're killing it at the time? Probably not. You'll probably look back after 6 months or a year and be like, holy fuck, man, that summer festival season, killed it. But, you won't know until you're on your headlining dates playing to, an eighth of that many people. You won't know until, you feel it. There's certain sobering things in the music industry that will kind of make you feel like unsuccessful, and there's ones that will make you feel like you're a king. So you just got to take the rough with the smooth. Yeah, I'd say we're successful.
Yeah.
And like stupidly lucky to be able to do it. Dubstep took a dip, and like our own country, where it's from, wouldn't play it on the radio. It was getting no love. So for Josh to have kind of kept playing dubstep, even in all of that climate, when you could have been playing house and other things, and I'm not naming names, I'm not chatting shit, I'm just saying like there's a certain amount to be said for acts that don't, stray too far from the path of the cause. So like I always say the same band comes back to them every time, but Iron Maiden have done the same record for like 35 years. It's always the same branding, it's the same type of tunes, it's like that's why they're still relevant and they're still big today and still selling shows out, because they've given their fan base exactly what they want. So once you have a fan base, which MODESTEP have, it's really important to not alienate them or push them away and give them stuff that they don't want or are interested in. But at the same time as playing to like the people that make you a band, you got to keep yourself happy and fulfilled. So it's a balance.
Yeah. I love this. Yeah, thank you so much.
No worries.
Bye.